today is updating, or not updating, fixing some bugs in TechLetter.App, which is the software I built a while ago to put together my mailing lists. And not my mailing list, my emails to the mailing list. So my editor left, kudos to him, he got a really well-paying job that I could never match in a million years, just for reasons. So, you know, we're gonna try to fix this stuff so I can do things on my own, potentially. He did also introduce me to somebody else who might pitch in, but we'll see how that goes. So let's see, CD, random CD documents, random coding. Birdo, where did you go? TechLetter. No, I think it's Letter Builder. Letter Builder, yarn start. Let's see, I know there were a couple of bugs. Component, no, not freelancing, documents. Let's see, where is it? Random coding. It was called Letter Builder. Cool. So for anyone who doesn't remember how this works, you put in Markdown on the left and you get output on the right with images converted, tweets turned into screenshots, YouTube links become screenshots, and code becomes screenshots of Carbon Now SH. So what I'm gonna do is fix some edge case bugs that we found over the last few months of using this. And I need to go get the bird because he's getting into trouble somewhere. Kiwi! Here is your apple. You can enjoy it in peace over here. Or let's put it here. It's gonna be better. Okay. Cool. So the bird is now bribed with a fresh apple to not wander away into other parts of the apartment, which means that I can get to work. So I know one of the bugs here was if you used a, let's see, let's get a nice Reacty component and put it in where letter render showdown image. Okay, showdown code.js. That's all of that stuff. I should have coded this in a better way. Screenshot.js. Okay, so we need a component that outputs some stuff. This looks great. So I'm gonna use this. Why did I use so many empty lines? So we have that. Now if I want to, let's say, include this in a email, I would go like this. Bam bam bam, JavaScript, paste, blah blah blah. And it should turn into this thing. So that worked, but it looks like the syntax highlighting is kind of broken, and it also doesn't always work. Well, let's see, if I go to actual Carbon Now SH and I say JavaScript and I paste this, it still gives me weird syntax highlighting, doesn't it? Very interesting. I wonder what's confusing it. What if we remove fragment here? Will that make it better? So right now one of the things I'm trying to figure out are actual cases where I know it breaks. And I know one of them was in an email I sent out recently about constate. So let's see, constate, delightful state management. So if I copy this whole thing into here, we should get a nicely rendered output. So we got that one. Aha! So this is where it got confused, and then it just broke completely, and you oh, 6 viewers, nice. So as you can see here, half of my input is missing. Everything from, hey Raphael, how are you doing? So everything gets broken from about here onwards. Oh, I think I know what's wrong with that. And then it looks like it just still no Twitter acceptance. Actually, let's check. Developer.Twitter.com. If I go to apps, nope, my developer account is still pending. So there's not much I can do there other than to wait. It's really unfortunate. I was hoping this would be much faster, but it's not. So there's not much I can do. There isn't even really any insight into the process. I'm just told keep waiting, and that's that. So let's see. First of all, where did all of my input vanish off to? Warning, the tag consumer is unrecognized in this browser. Okay. Heading is using incorrect casing. Use Pascal case for React components or lowercase for HTML. Interesting. Where is a heading? Okay, so I'm going to reset this, and we're going to take this out, reload the page. Hero is defined but never used. Okay, let's clear out some warnings first, and that's always a good start when you're fixing bugs. So if we go to export buttons.js, and we say this is a React component, so copy to clipboard is borrowed from HackerNoon. We're not using hero or container. Oh, so I was using React Bulma. Okay. Emojis should be wrapped in span. I don't care about that. iframe elements must have a unique title property. Where is an iframe element? Ah, our frame title is checkout page. It's more of a donation, but you know, it's there. Okay, so we got that. Now, if I paste all of this in here again, what are the errors that we get? We don't get any errors, but we still eat everything past this point onward, which is a problem. So what can we do about that? How can we even debug that? So it's the first code block, which is here. So this code block breaks it, and I assume it breaks it because it gets confused with the other code blocks. Let's see, how am I doing that? So we have, what do we have? We have letter builder, source, showdown has code, image.js, code.js, image.js, screenshot.js. So if we open code.js, I think we might find that all of this is really weird. Actually, first let's check if, what can we check? I think we should figure out what's even coming into our components. So let's see if this enables us to do that. So this is an image, it's a component that gets this as a source. So our source that goes into the component is base64 encoded, I think. Let's see, where does source come from? Yeah, BTOA of match. What does BTOA do? JavaScript BTOA. Okay, so that's the base64 encoding and decoding. Cool. each base 64, blah. Now let's see, what does all of this actually contain? Do we, I'm gonna console log it. So here we're going to console log the match, and that will enable us to see what we're even trying to pass into our screenshot taker. So if we console log, we say code, and we console log the match, that should enable us to see what's happening. I'm gonna copy paste everything again, and let's see. So this is the first code that actually breaks our input, right? Yes, or our output. And I should zoom in. Please always let me know in the chat room if there's something that you can't read or whatever. So we get, this is what we're expecting. We're expecting class field all the way to this curly brace that stops the class. And we do get that, okay. So what happens if we take this and paste it directly into Carbon SH? Does it also get confused? Ooh, I do like the Dracula one. So if we paste this, it seems to work. Cool. But why is it getting confused then? If we export this as an image, PNG, Carbon 2 PNG, open it here, it still works. Okay, so that's interesting. I also really like this theme. Maybe we should use this theme. What do you think? Should we keep using SETI as the default screenshots, or should we switch to Dracula? Ah, why did I close that? How do I get it back? Help. Okay. Ah, there we go. Cool. So raise your hand if you think I should switch to this format, because these colors are quite pretty. So, okay. Bird, what are you eating? You're making crunchy noises. I don't like that. The bird was eating my bed. Okay, so the bug isn't there. Where is the bug then? What happens if we go into our code component, which is this thing, right? Ah, how did that happen? Okay, that looks correct now. Cool. So this is the code component where the URL stuff happens. So let's see here, if we console log our source, what happens if we then console log A to B of our source? Let's see what we get. So we're gonna say console log. I'm gonna just print this so it's easier to tell where one code block ends and another one begins in our console. And I'm going to copy paste this again, paste it in here. Let's see. So this is gonna break, right? Yep, consistently breaks, that's good. So our source was this base 64 encoded string, which translates back to a good looking string. But here, for some reason, I'm doing encode URL component of the decoded string, and I think that's what's causing problems. Let's see. Copy pasta, paste in here. Yeah. So I think this is what's breaking here. Okay, so I think what I need to do is keep this base64 encoded, but decode it and then decode it on the other side of the wire in our AWS Lambda. So if I take this out and we just pass in the source, okay, let's see what happens then. So now we're gonna get a weird string here, I think. Local state is your best friend. Why does it still return the same thing? That's interesting. Let's actually console log the URL. Console log the URL, because I want to see what we're actually returning here. Okay, copy paste, and yeah, this, I see a lot of people coming in and out of the chat room. I think that's probably going to be how it works. Oh, I see. So I'm not deploying my changes directly to the live website. This is my local host. It just looks like the live website. So this URL is actually for the clickable link, which means that if I click on this, I go to that URL, this thing here. So here it might actually be correct to say to keep the previous URL. Let's see what happens with the previous URL. So copy pasta, paste it here. Local state is my best friend. And if I click this image, I go to Carbon now with all of the correct info. Interesting. So this actually does look correct. I do think the Dracula font is actually prettier, so I'm gonna switch to that. Now the problem apparently is when we create this thing, here the source is actually kept as encoded. It's like base64 encoded. Yes, Kiwi. Hi, what do you want? So it's base64 encoded, and what's the code type? Console log, let's say code type and source. Let's see what that returns. So pop, our first one, where, oh, I need to remove these console logs because I'm getting confused with too many console logs. Paste this here. So it's JavaScript with this as a string. Now if we say A to B of that, what do we get? We get the correct value. So why are we not getting the correct picture? Because when we click on it, we also get the correct value, right? Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna open the other part of this project, which is the screenshot as a service thing. Can I open it here? Let's see. Open editors, move sidebar right. Does anyone know how to add a project? Okay, let's see what happens if I do that. So it was screenshot as a service, and okay, that isn't working. So let's go here, random coding, screenshot as a service. Now this one is going to be a little harder. This is going to be harder to debug, because to debug this one we have to deploy to, what's it called, deploy to deploy to AWS Lambdas every time. So let's see. I'm gonna close a bunch of this stuff because I don't know what it does anymore. So if we go to screenshot as a service, we have Chrome, starter kit, index.js. So this is the thing that accepts our requests and decides what to do with them. Oh, ow. Yes, Kiwi. Let's see. Oh, we can console log the full URL, and that's gonna make it easier to test. So if our query string is, if we say it's code, it exports screenshot code with the browser. Where does it get the browser? What is browser? Browser sets up a new browser, says the thing, takes the code and code type. I can't click through. Click through mode. Okay, so code and code type. So then we have screenshot code. Screenshot code is here. What is wrong here? Your arrow function argument needs parentheses. Blah. Stupid linters. Always a problem, aren't they? See, and now it disagrees with what Prettier is doing, and it's just annoying as hell. Okay, so screenshot code, this is the one we care about. We said we're changing the theme from SETI to Dracula. We take the code. Oh! Well, well, well. Aha. So this is what's translating code base 64. Gets code in base 64 and then tries to translate it back, and I think that's where the problem is, because A to B is translating this correctly. What happens if we try doing it in Node? So I'm going to make a little Node script here, vim test.js, and we're going to say const code base 64 equals all of that stuff. I will say const code equals buffer. Do we have to import buffer? We do not, because it's a built-in buffer from code base 64 to string, and if we console log that, what do we get? So node test.js, it outputs correct. Interesting. Yeah, let's try adding all of this stuff. So if we say vim test.js, we go down here, dollar blah console log target URL. Maybe that will reveal what's wrong. Node test.js, code type is not defined. Right, test.js, we say const code type equals JavaScript. Let's see, node test.js, and we get this URL. So if we paste this URL here, it outputs the correct code. So that's confusing. So why is this happening then? quite strange. So it seems to be doing the right things everywhere, but so right now I wasn't using the terminal to call the app. Actually, yes, I was. I was making, you can think of test.js as a small node app, like right here, and I was just running it directly. Using the code from my app, trying to figure out, oh my god, can somebody, what, is there a linter in here? ls-a. Where is the linter getting this configuration? It's so annoying. Strings must use single quote. Please just agree with what Prettier is doing. Because I don't even know where the linter is defined right now. So it's just being, oh, ESLint RC. RM dot, oh, it's in screenshot as a service, so let's go there. cd screenshot as a service rm dot ESLint RCJS. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna quit code, open it again, and hopefully the linter is gonna stop complaining as much. Wonderful. See, that's how you get rid of annoying linters. Yes, create new rule, whatever. Where was I? So, well, Prettier said to use double quotes, and who am I to disagree with an automatic code formatter? So await page export container. Hey Dylan, how's Costa Rica doing these days? Carbon name? Okay, so let's figure out how this is working. So it gets the thing, creates a new name for the image. Hi Kiwi. Opens a new page. Sets the viewport to blah. This is the target URL, which seems to work correctly. Goes to that page, waits until DOM content loaded and network idle. Then waits for 1 second. Why? Gets the export container image path and then takes a screenshot of that. And then closes the browser and uploads the screenshot to a temporary thing. Interesting. So why isn't it working? Let's try. I just want to see what the Dracula change did. What did I change in serverless YAML? This is probably not correct. Okay, so what happens if I do git checkout serverless? Nothing changes. Cool. So git status, git diff source. So I'm having a little problem right now because I changed some stuff apparently and I don't remember what I was changing anymore. Okay, Dracula, that's a good one. So git commit -m, change theme for code screenshots, and then I think if I run serverless, it's going to upload it and deploy it on AWS for me. Serverless deploy. Okay, so I think this is now deploying to AWS Lambda. And then we can try again and see if that changed anything. I don't think it will change more than the color scheme of this output here, which I'm not even sure you can see very well, but such is life. Oh great, the sun is back. I think this might take a little while with me streaming, because it is trying to upload to S3 at the same time as it's uploading all of this video. I don't quite understand is why did it stop? Why did the content stop? So it has this thing and is buttons. So where did all the content, why did it kill all the content is my question. We might have to end up rewriting this to, what was I gonna say, to remark, which would be quite a big schlep for, I don't know if it's actually that much benefit to do that. But let's see. First I want to see if any changes I'm making are actually having an effect, which is what we're doing now, because I can't figure out what's wrong with this. Okay, cool. So we should now, if I go to AWS, we should see that there is a new version of the Lambda there, right? Come on. Come on, automatic logins. So if I go to the Lambda, last modified 44 seconds ago, perfect. Okay, so now if I run this again, we should see at the very least a different color scheme. So I'm gonna copy paste all of this again, paste it here. Let's see if it actually gets a different color scheme. Aha! Okay, so it got a different color scheme, but the thing failed at the same point. Interesting. Let's see if the logs have any info for us. How do I get to the logs? Right, so how do I see logs? This is what I get for not dealing with this stuff on the regular. CloudWatch. Loggies. Okay, stuff, request, blah. Where do I see logs? Logs. There we go. And 1501, that sounds correct. So we did loaded target element, but I don't know which type of screenshot it was. Loaded target carbon. I should just hire another intern. Where's the fun in that? And yes, I should. Okay, so this is the output we wanted. So loaded target carbon. The problem with interns is that it turns out they can be a lot more successful with things that I also know how to do, so that I can help them out. And it's also fun to figure out some of this stuff on my own. You can honestly, you can think of this as research for the new workshop I'm developing. So it works, you know, it's a good outcome. So it loads the target carbon, makes the screenshot, and outputs and does the things. Now let's add some more console logs here to see what the code actually is doing. So if we say console log target URL and we add the target URL, then another one we can do, that's gonna let us verify that it's actually working when it tries to do the thing. Now I wonder if instead of taking a screenshot of this, we could actually use the export. But I'm not sure how to do that. Let's see. Puppeteer download file. How do I get Puppeteer to download the file? Okay. This has been something that's been asked of in browser, so it's now a first-class feature. The overview is you post a script to run, takes care quick docs here. What? Wow, this sounds way complicated. We're gonna stick with screenshots. So, as far as the screenshots go, let's see what does this give us. Console log made screenshot with this info, and then we're going to yes. Hey Mehdi, how are you doing today? So await upload screenshot. The problem could actually happen in any of these steps, so I'm hoping that some of this will give me a clue as to what's going on. What happens if, so we have the element, and what does taking a screenshot look like? Page screenshot, okay, that just creates a file, I think. I'm doing pretty good, Magdi. I'm kind of flopping around right now. I'm not really sure what I'm doing, but that's the fun part, right? Git commit -m, add more logs, and I'm going to do a serverless deploy, and then we're gonna wait again, and then we're gonna try it. So we basically have two bugs that are going on. One is that it looks like in some cases I'm getting corrupted screenshots back from the screenshot service, and it seems like something is eating a lot of the input, and I'm gonna try figuring out what that is. But first we're going to, it seemed like it makes more sense to try to resolve the screenshot issue first, mostly because I thought it was easier. And in Remark, the good thing there is that because of the other project I already have some experience with Remark, so I kind of know what I'd be doing. But the bigger problem is that it would be nice to avoid that if at all possible, you know, because Remark is quite a complicated beast. I think it's been 3 years of almost consistent live coding, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. It's been very good practice for my workshops where people are always surprised that I'm able to type code out while explaining it and talking about it at the same time. So it's in that regard, it's been a very useful skill to develop. Hey Ridari, how are you doing? Okay, let's see. This finish uploading near. How much longer do you think we should go with this live coding? I don't want to drag it on for too long, but it would be nice if we got something working, wouldn't it? Son, why? Okay, you can see this shit on the camera, right? Okay, 1508, that's right now. So I'm gonna trigger another request here, reload, and paste. Nope. So for those of you who haven't been watching my live codings for a very long time, in the winter, around January, February as well, a funny thing happens where I think it's the link. No, it's not the LinkedIn building right now, but there's a building across the street from me that has a lot of windows, and around 3 p.m. the sun hits it in at just the right angle to get a very powerful ray of sun straight at my face. Okay, so I ran this at 1509. Let's see, we should have some new logs here. 1509. Load the target element, made screenshot. So this must have been the Twitter one. What is this one? Aha. So launched the thing. I can't scroll right, okay. Cool. So now let's see what the URL was that it was trying to use. Interesting. So problem, right? Something is corrupted it. But what? Okay, so it seems like the problem is at this point, where it's encoding the code. Let's see what the how it gets the code out. So I'm gonna console log the code, the era of enlightenment. I like that. Yeah, it is. The lighting is pretty dramatic. It's like a Rembrandt painting or something. So while this is uploading, a little interesting art history for you. The reason Rembrandt became so famous is because he was the first person in history to have dramatic changes in lighting in the same picture. He was the first person who realized that you don't have to have the same amount of light going on your entire picture. You can keep most of your picture dark and then use light to highlight specific that goes somewhere in the background that highlights some almost seemingly unimportant event that was actually the highlight of his painting, because I don't know why he did it that way, but he was the first person to actually. So I bet you didn't know that one. And if you don't believe me, you can look it up. I learned that in history class in high school, or maybe it was art class in high school. I don't know. It was in one of those two where we were doing art history for some reason or another. So this is uploading, and it's gonna give us more info on what the Lambda is actually seeing. And then we can go from there and see maybe the Lambda is mistranslating code from base64 to text. Maybe encode URI component is fucking up. We don't know. But we've discovered now that the URL it uses to go to Carbon Now SH is in fact producing the wrong output. So we know the error is there somewhere. And I need to post a done here. Done get bird pedicure. Okay. Cool. What happened with Jamie Builds? I'm not actually sure what happened with Jamie Builds, but he did get upset. I asked him a couple times. I basically said that I disagree with the idea that. So we were talking about what it takes to match parentheses, and I said that you can't do it with just regex. He was saying that editors do everything using regex, and I said that's not possible. You cannot match parentheses with regex. You need a parser. And he said, and after a while he said, no, you don't need a parser. You just need a regex and a depth counter. And then he decided that he basically said that listening is not my skill, because he never said that regex is all you need. So I don't know. I don't know why he's upset, and I'm still not sure if regex plus counter counts as a parser or not. So that's where we're at. Cool. So we have this. Let's see. It is outputting the code wrong. Interesting. So this is very, very interesting. It looks like the base. Oh my god, why? So we just realized, we discovered that base 64 encoding and decoding as used by my machine on like Chrome is different than whatever. So Chrome does base 64 encoding and decoding with BTOA and A to B. I don't know why they're named so stupidly, but that's what they're named, and that works. And when I tried, but BTOA and A to B is not something you have in Node. You have to use buffers and do this sort of thing that I'm doing here. You take your code, you say it's base 64, and then you translate it to a string. So that's great. And that works when I tried it here on my local machine in, here if you see test.js, this code is exactly the same as this code, right? But it works on my machine and it doesn't work on the Lambda. So why would that be? My Node version is 10.12. Where do I specify? Oh, I think this is the problem. Node.js 8.10. So let's see. Serverless AWS Node version. AWS Lambda supports Node.js v8.10. Get started deploying. Okay, so this is supposed to be the same Node version. Node.js v8.10, but it's still behaving differently. Or is it the Node.js 8.10 runtime? Ah. Brr. Okay. Latest Node version you can use on AWS Lambda. So I think something changed in how yeah. Okay, I don't know what this article is saying, but basically the problem is, no, Amazon, Einbisken, you're reading a bit too much into this. Amazon doesn't use Node as its backend. It might do in some cases. I'm pretty sure Amazon itself is a Java shop, but they offer Node as a runtime environment for your Lambdas. That doesn't mean that Amazon itself is using Node. It means that Amazon is enabling us to use Node. Subtle difference, but very important. So what can we do here? I still think that base 64 is the right way to so let's see, Node library or JavaScript library base 64. So one idea I have is that we can use the same base 64 library on both the front end and the back end, so both in the browser and on AWS Lambda, and that in theory should mean that the transformation works the same way to and from, so it's not gonna have that bug. Let's try. This one looks great, so I'm gonna try this one. We're gonna go to Lambda as a service or screenshot as a service and say yarn add, what did it say? JS minus base 64. My stomach is making weird noises, so hopefully you can't hear that on the stream, because that would be awkward. Cool. Oh, and in letter builder I can also install it. Yarn add JS minus base 64. Cool. So that's being installed. Errors? Why are you showing me errors? Failed to execute, what? Build error, not okay, node gip. Oy vey. Okay, I'm gonna be right back because I need to go to the restroom. And for your convenience, I'm gonna mute my microphone. All right, cool. So the install's finished. And now let's see, how do we use JS base 64? Require JS base 64 or import base 64 from blah. So we say const base 64 equals require JS minus base 64 dot base 64. Cool. Now where were we using all of that? To fair. So our code is going to be base 64 dot decode of our code base 64, and apparently that should just work. So then we're console logging the code, we're pushing it into target URL and doing stuff to it. Cool. Now decode URI is unnecessary since it accepts both flavors. Wonderful. So we got that. Now we're going to deploy it. So git status, git commit -a-m, use JS base 64 instead of built-in buffer, git push origin master, and we run serverless deploy. Then while the deploy is running, we can go into the other project, which is the front end, and start using the same thing. So we go into random coding, letter build.ar, where is it? Letter build.ar, wonderful. And this one, instead of using BTOA, so change this to be React, and then BTOA. Here where it says BTOA, it will instead say, so we're going to import base 64 from the JS base 64, and we're going to take the match and say base 64 dot encode URI, because I think it makes sense to do it that way. So encode URI match, then that goes into our code component, which gets the source, passes it straight into the URL that's loading, that's going to create the screenshot. And here when it's creating the link for us, it's going to say base64.decode of source. Cool. So that should now be reloading, and we need the serverless thing to finish, and then rerun the example that we know causes a bug. Yes, burp. And if that works, I'm going to... If that works, I think I'm gonna stop streaming, because I really want to get the final 30 minutes my own graphic stuff. I do some of my own design. This in particular was designed by one of my interns, to be honest. I built a very ugly version, and then he was wonderful enough to come in and make it pretty, and then I just use his stuff. But I use a combination of, sometimes I use React Bulma, this stuff. This has pretty good defaults, and I've had, I don't know where it is now. So this has good defaults. I've been using React as well for like basics, but I find that most of my designs are simple enough that I don't really need to do anything fancy. So let's see, put this here, and now if everything works, hopefully this is going to be a proper code. That one worked. Yes! So we fixed the bug. Awesome. Well, we fixed one of the bugs, and if we go here to CloudWatch, you'll be able to see that this one, I think, no, this one. So we same progress, except now we got all of the correct code and passed it into the URL, which is wonderful, which means that we now have a working thing, or at least this particular bug is fixed. So that works. You can see you can click on it, get the things. The next step that I'm not gonna solve right now. So the next one is figuring out why all of this isn't getting passed through. But this works. Let me actually deploy it so you can see how deploying this stuff works. Git commit -a -m, use JS base64 to fix weird edge case with code. Git push origin master, and now let's see, do I have a deploy? Package JSON deploy, no. Why don't I have a deploy? That's done. So I'm gonna say yarn build, and then I'm gonna go to the build thing, and this is something where with a little bit more configuration I could make this part easier, but I haven't done that configuration yet and I don't feel like doing it right now. So what's happening right now is I'm compiling the app, then I'm going to deploy it to live, and then I'm gonna go continue editing my stuff. So we go cd build and we say now that's uploading it to Zeit. It's going to deploy it, put it up, make it live. And yeah, I have what, 28 minutes or so of video editing left to do. Now alias command v TechLetter.App, and let's see. Now if I go here to TechLetter.App, this is now deployed. Sign up list to work as an intern. I'm not looking for any right now, but yay, this works now, right? So we deployed it and it works. So I'm not really looking for any interns right now, but if I will, again, I'm gonna be probably sending it out to my mailing list. So if you're on my mailing list, you will find everything out when it's pertinent. And now I'm gonna go finish editing React for data visualization, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I can get it finished today and then start preparing the launch and stuff. So this is working now. Maybe tonight or we're gonna do some live coding tomorrow and figure out the other part. Probably rewrite this to Remark, and yeah, that's it for today. Thanks everyone for watching.